In our previous video, we analyzed the best games of 2025 strictly through the lens of critics. You can watch that via the link above. However, that list was only one side of the coin. There is often a significant disconnect between media scores and the actual player experience. Metacritic offers a platform where the true merit of a game is defined by the players themselves. This video explores that clash between professional opinions and the gaming community. So, without further ado, let's dive into the list of the year's best games. This time, exclusively from the perspective of Metacritic users. Number 10. Days Gone Remastered. User score 8.8. Meta 78. Release platforms PlayStation 5, PC. Bend Studio, in collaboration with Climax, has dusted off the controversial 2019 title, transforming Days Gone Remastered into an experience that truly shines on 9th generation hardware. Deacon St. John's quest to find his wife in a world overrun by freakers remained untouched. Although the initial pacing is still slow, the significant improvement in facial animation and lip syncing in the remastered version has doubled the narrative's emotional weight and the chemistry between characters. The remaster flexes its muscles with 4K resolution, a stable 60 frames per second, and ray tracing. The environments of Oregon are more alive than ever, but the most important technical achievement is the completely smooth, drop-free performance of the hordes, massive swarms of zombies, which was a technical challenge in the original version. The core gameplay has been polished with a tighter gunplay and full support for DualSense features to make the sensation of driving and shooting feel more realistic. Additionally, the new Horde Assault mode, featuring endless waves of enemies, has drastically increased the replay value for action fans. A noteworthy point regarding this game is the deep divide between the opinions of critics and audiences. While critics continued to scrutinize old flaws with a magnifying glass, rating the game as merely good, gamers were not nearly as harsh. Player reception has been far more enthusiastic than that of the critics, and user scores indicate that the core audience consider this remaster a fun experience and a true redemption for the franchise. If you haven't experienced the original version, this is the best time to enter this world. And for old fans, the experience of 9th generation graphics and the smooth battle against hordes makes it worth the return. Number 9. Death Stranding 2. User score 8.8. Meta 89. Release platforms PlayStation 5. Hideo Kojima has proved once again that his mind just has no limits. Death Stranding 2. On the Beach, developed by Kojima Productions, is way more than just a simple sequel to that genre-bending 2019 title. It's a full-on cinematic and philosophical evolution. The story picks up a few years after the first game. Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, who's looking older and more seasoned now, teams up with Fragile, Lea Seydoux, for a new adventure. This time, the main question isn't how do we connect, but Kojima boldly asks, should we have connected at all? The addition of new characters played by Elle Fanning and Shiori Kutsuna adds complex layers to the mystery, turning the narrative from a personal journey into an international epic that goes way beyond the borders of America. Gameplay-wise, DS2 has undergone fundamental changes compared to the first one. If the first game was about walking in solitude, this one is about adapting to chaos. The environments are dynamic and alive now. Floods, landslides, and wildfires change your path in real time. The addition of the Magellan ship as a mobile base has completely revolutionized travel strategy. Combat, which was the Achilles heel of the previous game, is now smoother, more action-packed, and tactical. Plus, the new tools give Sam a much greater sense of power. Visually, the Decima engine is working absolute magic on the PS5. The photorealistic lighting, the insane details on the actors' faces, and the fluid physics, especially the tar and water, have completely blurred the line between film and game. This game managed to clean up at the Game Awards, taking home heavy hitters like Best Direction, Best Performance for Lea Seydoux, and Best Narrative, and was even the main contender for Game of the Year. Compared to the first game, On the Beach has a faster pace, more diverse environments, and a darker story that will hook even those who didn't vibe with the Porter Simulator mechanics of the original. Kojima has shown once again that he is the master of creating weird yet totally believable worlds. Number 8. Look Outside. User score 8.9. Meta 83. Release platforms PC. Look Outside, the indie title by Francis Coulomb, with the simple yet devastating concept of "don't look outside," proved that true horror doesn't require vast environments, delivering one of the most terrifying experiences of 2025. 15 days of confinement. You play as Sam, trapped for 15 days in an apartment where the outside world has been overtaken by a sinister phenomenon. Anyone who looks outside transforms into a mass of flesh and madness. The story unfolds entirely within a closed environment, conveying deep horror through environmental storytelling and a sense of intense paranoia. Contrary to genre standards, the game is a creative blend of resource management and turn-based combat. Survival hinges on covering windows and managing stress, while monster infiltration shifts the game into a strategic and deadly combat phase, where every wrong decision equals death. The game's high-detail pixel art style creates a shocking contrast between the cozy home environment and the body horror of the monster. The creature design is crafted to be highly creative and intensely repulsive. Look Outside is a short yet unforgettable digital nightmare that challenges your courage. Just remember, don't pull back the curtains. Number 7. Hollow Knight, Silksong. User score 9. Meta 90. Release platforms PC, Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series. After years of waiting and total radio silence, the small but genius team at Team Cherry finally dropped Hollow Knight, Silksong, proving that our patience was totally worth it. In this sequel, you step into the shoes of Hornet, the princess protector of Hollow Nest. Unlike the first game, which was a story about descending into darkness, this one is all about ascending. Hornet has been kidnapped and taken to the distant, cursed kingdom of Farloom, a land ruled by Song and Silk. To find the truth and regain her freedom, she has to fight her way up to the shining citadel at the very peak. Gameplay-wise, Silksong is a massive evolutionary leap. While the knight from the first game was a silent warrior who relied on heavy hits, Hornet is the definition of speed, acrobatics, and grace. She can mantle ledges, move way faster, and her healing system is instant, unlike the slow focus from the last game, which ramps up the combat rhythm to a crazy level. The tool system has replaced the charms, giving you endless strategic variety. Visually, it stays true to that beautiful hand-drawn style, but with a more diverse color palette, more detailed animations, and the dynamic environments of Farloom, it stands a head and shoulders above Hollow Knight. And Christopher Larkin's soundtrack, once again, is absolutely magical and epic. Silksong isn't just a game, it's a perfect symphony of action and exploration that's going to set the benchmark for this genre for years to come. Number 6. Donkey Kong Bananza. User score 9. Meta 91. Release platforms: Nintendo Switch 2. With the release of Donkey Kong Bananza in the summer of 2025, Nintendo didn't just deliver one of the best launch titles for the new Nintendo Switch 2. They created one of the most creative 3D platformers in history. Developed by the legendary Nintendo EPD team, this game takes Donkey Kong off his usual island and sends him deep underground. The story is simple but catchy. DK teams up with Pauline, who plays a key role now, to journey to the planet's core in search of a legendary treasure that grants wishes. Pauline just wants to get back to the surface, but DK? Well, he just wants those golden bananas, aka Banandium gems. Gameplay-wise, Bananza is a total revolution for the series. The core experience is built on environmental destructibility. The power of the Switch 2 allows DK to smash through almost any surface, dig tunnels, and carve out new paths. It offers freedom reminiscent of Super Mario Odyssey, but with that heavy, satisfying physics unique to DK. The new Bananza transformations feature also shakes things up. Pauline's singing can morph DK into different forms, like a speedster zebra or other powerful variations. The two-player co-op, where the second player controls Pauline and her sound attacks, is easily one of the best multiplayer experiences of the year. Visually, the game is a technical showcase for Nintendo's new console. Dynamic lighting in crystal caves, highly detailed fur textures on DK, and massive environments with zero loading screens are just stunning. With a skyrocketing Metascore and millions sold in the first week, it took home the Best Family Game Award at the Game Awards 2025, proving that the old Nintendo ape can still wear the crown of the platforming king. Number 5. Deltarune. User score 9. Meta 86. Release platforms: PC, Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, PlayStation 4 and 5. The title, The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky. The first is a full-fledged modern remake of the classic title originally released in 2004. To understand the significance of this game, one must look at the history of the original game, a title that the developers initially intended to release as a single, massive game. However, mid-development, the volume of content and the scope of the script so exceeded the capacity of that era that Studio Nihon Falcom was forced to fundamentally revise their plan. They decided to split the massive narrative into two distinct parts, FC and SC. Now, this remake, while remaining faithful to the same first half of the narrative structure, attempts to recreate the nostalgic experience of the past with next-generation visual standards. In terms of gameplay, this remake polishes the mechanics for a modern audience, while preserving the soul of the classic turn-based system. The Orbment system, the core of magic customization, now features a smoother user interface, but retained its loyalty to the game's strategic roots. Unlike the original version, which featured an isometric camera and 2D graphics, the remake depicted the world of the Kingdom of Liberl with fully 3D graphics and the stunning details, making exploration of the cities a fresh experience even for longtime fans. Nevertheless, the game still maintains its renowned slow burn pacing, a characteristic that, while aiding the deep character development of Estelle and Joshua, may feel slightly tedious for those expecting fast-paced action. This remake serves as a bridge between a classic masterpiece and modern technology, keeping a new generation of gamers thirsty for the continuation of the story with its dramatic ending. Number 4. Dispatch. User score 9. Meta 87. Release platforms: Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, PC, PlayStation 5. What happens when a superhero loses their suit and gets stuck behind a desk? You get Dispatch. Released in late 2025 by Ad Hoc Studio, a team made up of key veterans from Telltale Games, this title proves that the interactive narrative genre isn't just alive, it's evolving. Let's talk story. You step into the shoes of Robert Robertson, voiced by the incredible Aaron Paul. After his high-tech suit is destroyed, he is grounded and forced to work as a dispatcher. The narrative is a brilliant mix of dark comedy and workplace drama. You're tasked with managing Team Z, a ragtag group of broken, C-list heroes, while navigating dirty office politics and their personal crises. The writing is sharp, hilarious, and surprisingly human. Gameplay-wise, Dispatch splits your focus. First, you have the classic Telltale-style dialogue choices that shape the narrative and your relationships with co-workers. Second, there's a strategic layer. You analyze the city map and have to deploy the right hero for the specific crime. Send the wrong hero and things go south fast. It does a great job of simulating the stress of the command chair. Visually, the game is stunning. It leans heavily into a Spider-Verse aesthetic with a stylized comic book look and a deliberate artistic frame rate. But the real showstopper is the audio. With a cast including Jeffrey Wright and Laura Bailey alongside Aaron Paul, the voice acting elevates this to a cinematic experience. So, what's the verdict? Critics from outlets like IGN and GameSpot are hitting this with 9 out of 10s, calling it a worthy successor to The Wolf Among Us. Over on Steam, player reviews are sitting at overwhelmingly positive, praising the mature humor and deep character work. The only minor complaint is that the strategy layer can feel a bit simple at times, but honestly, the story is so good you barely notice. Number 3. Trails in the Sky. First chapter. User score 9. Meta 88. Release platforms PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. The title, The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky. The first is a full-fledged modern remake of the classic title originally released in 2004. To understand the significance of this game, one must look at the history of the original game, a title that the developers initially intended to release as a single massive game. However, mid-development, the volume of content and the scope of the script so exceeded the capacity of that era that Studio Nihon Falcom was forced to fundamentally revise their plan. They decided to split the massive narrative into 2 distinct parts, FC and SC. Now, this remake, while remaining faithful to the same first half of the narrative structure, attempts to recreate the nostalgic experience of the past with next-generation visual standards. In terms of gameplay, this remake polishes the mechanics for a modern audience, while preserving the soul of the classic turn-based system. The Orbment system, the core of magic customization, now features a smoother user interface, but retained its loyalty to the game's strategic roots. Unlike the original version, which featured an isometric camera and 2D graphics, the remake depicted the world of the Kingdom of Liberal with fully 3D graphics and the stunning details, making exploration of the cities a fresh experience even for longtime fans. Nevertheless, the game still maintains its renowned slow burn pacing, a characteristic that, while aiding the deep character development of Estelle and Joshua, may feel slightly tedious for those expecting fast-paced action. This remake serves as a bridge between a classic masterpiece and modern technology, keeping a new generation of gamers thirsty for the continuation of the story with its dramatic ending. Number 2. Digimon Storytime Stranger. User score 9.1. Meta 78. Release platforms PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. After an agonizing 8-year wait following Hacker's Memory, Studio Media Dot Vision has finally returned with a title that is not only the most ambitious entry in the story series, but also injects a newfound maturity into the Digimon universe. Digimon Story Time Stranger is exactly what adult fans of the franchise have been dreaming of. A dark narrative, complex mechanics, and a world that feels alive with detail. Story A dance with time in the shadow of Olympus. The game places you in the shoes of an agent from the secret organization Adamas. Following a massive explosion in Tokyo, the protagonist is thrown 8 years into the past and must work with a mysterious girl named Inori and her Digimon partner Aegiomon to prevent the collapse of two worlds. The writer's boldest move was shifting the setting to Digital World Iliad, a server hosting the Olympos Deus, offering a mythological atmosphere distinct from Yggdrasil. The narrative is packed with time twists and political drama that keeps the audience hooked until the very end. Gameplay and mechanics. The core of the game is the beloved turn-based combat of Cyber Sleuth, but with vital improvements. The presence of over 450 playable Digimon and the new evolved battle components system has doubled the strategic depth of battles. Now, positioning and using the timeline to manipulate turns matter more. The Digifarm system has also been completely overhauled, offering so many customization options that you might spend hours managing your team and forget the main storyline. Graphics and visuals. Thanks to the power of 9th generation consoles, Time Stranger is the most beautiful game in the franchise's history. Digimon models are stunning, and the Iliad environments, inspired by a blend of ancient Greek architecture and cyber elements, have created a magical atmosphere. However, some environmental textures occasionally load slowly on the console version, which is negligible given the overall beauty of the work. Verdict: by successfully blending time travel, Greek mythology, and the winning formula of Cyber Sleuth, Digimon Story, Time Stranger has created an experience that is appealing to newcomers and a worthy tribute to long-time fans. This is not just a good Digimon game, it is one of the best RPGs of 2025. Number 1. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. User score 9.6. Meta 92. Release platforms PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. When the newly formed French studio Sandfall Interactive dropped their first trailer, everyone was blown away by the stunning visuals. But honestly, few people predicted that by the end of 2025 it would actually snatch the crown for Game of the Year. The story takes place in a fantasy world inspired by France's Belle Epoque era, a world living under the dark shadow of the paintress. Every year, she wakes up and paints a number on a monolith. Everyone of that specific age just turns to dust. This year, the number is 33, and you are in charge of Expedition 33, a group of heroes on an impossible mission to destroy the paintress before the cycle ends. It's a tragic, epic, and deeply human story that really hits home for any gamer. Gameplay-wise, Clair Obscur started a revolution in the turn-based RPG genre. The combat system, which the devs call reactive turn-based, is a brilliant mix of classic JRPG strategy and the thrill of action games. You issue an attack command, but you have to react in real time to dodge, parry, and button mash to boost your damage. This system makes the combat rhythm so engaging that even people who don't usually like turn-based games fell in love with it. Visually, the use of Unreal Engine 5 has created some breathtaking landscapes. From floating mountain to Gothic architecture, everything is designed with such insane detail that it blurs the line between reality and dream. This game proved that with creativity and innovation, even a studio's debut title can take down the industry giants and create a legacy that lasts forever.